So what we're going to do is we're going to create equations that are going to help you with your factoring project. So this might be a little bit hard to follow along with, but what I want you to do is try your best, start creating an equation, and we can talk about it in class. We can talk about it extra help. I can walk through with you and we can try some together, and then you would do some on your own, obviously. But if you need help, let me know. So I'm going to start off with A being 1. So if our A is 1, we want our factors to not have any number in front of the x's. So I'm randomly going to choose x plus 7 and x minus 3. So two binomials, x plus 7, x minus 3. And when I drew my diagram, I can say my width is x plus 7, my length is x minus 3, and let's say this is a bed. I would then FOIL it, x squared minus 3x plus 7x minus 21. Combine my like terms, and this is what I get. Now we know that we're not done, because if we were going to go back, we would get this again. We would get our zeros as 7, negative 7, and 3. If I plug in 3, I get a side length of 0. We know that a bed doesn't have a side length of 0. So now we're going to have to find an area that when I set it equal to that area number, it will still be factorable. So what I'm going to think of is, because this is a negative, it has to be one positive number and one negative. And because this is positive, the positive number has to be a greater number. So what two numbers that basically I'm subtracting give me 4? So I chose 10 and 6. So we can think of that as 10 and negative 6. 10 minus 6 gives me 4. When we multiply that together, that gives me negative 60, because we want two numbers that add up to the middle and multiply to this number. Well, that number obviously is not negative 60 like we need, so we need to make it negative 60. So what, when I move over, will give me negative 60, which I determined was 39. And a way to figure that out, if you can't see that, is you do negative 21 plus whatever number we're trying to find equals 39. Add 30, equals, this is why, equals negative 60. Add 21 to both sides, and we would get negative 39. So that means we need to get this when we subtract over 39. So this has to be positive 39. And we can check to make sure we did this right, that it factors. So we get x squared plus 4x plus minus 60, x plus 10, and then x minus 6. So we get multiplies to negative 60, adds to 4. We would get x is negative 10 then, x is 6. Obviously can't be negative 10 because we plug into both. We get negative side lengths, which we can't have. So our x would be 6. We would plug it in and give the dimensions. So this whole thing is about figuring out two numbers that would add up to the middle, and then finding what our area on the right should be to be able to give us a number that multiplies to those two numbers. The A is not equal to 1 is a little bit more challenging, so try to follow along with me. You're going to pick two binomials again, and one of the binomials should have a number in front of the x. And you can do both with a number in front of the x, but sometimes that's a little too much, so I say stick with just one. But if you want to challenge yourself, go ahead. So I chose randomly 3x plus 1 times x minus 3. And I FOIL that, and I get 3x squared minus 9x plus x minus 3. When I combine that, I get 3x squared minus 8x minus 3. So now we're going to do like what we did before and figure out two numbers that add to negative 8. And I chose negative 12 and 4. Randomly, that's what I chose. So we know that these two numbers, when they're added together, have to equal the middle. When they're multiplied, they have to equal the outside numbers multiplied together. So Negative 12 times 4 gives me negative 48. So this times this number has to give me negative 48. This is already negative, so we could act like it's just 48. So we'll have this times some number has to give me 48. So 48 divided by 3 gives me 16. So 3 times negative 16 will give me the negative 48 I want. We already have the 3 here, the negative 3, so we have to tack on another 13. So when I subtract over 13, I get negative 16 like I want. So my new equation will be 3x squared minus 8x minus 16. So it must add to negative 8 and multiply to negative 48, which is negative 12 and 4. So I'll get 3x squared minus 12x plus 4x minus 16. So 3x, x minus 4 plus 4x minus 4. So I get 3x plus 4 times x minus 4. So my x is 4. And as you can tell, we always want one of these to be positive up here, one of these to be negative up here. So we have that negative c value. So we get one of our answers to be positive, one to be negative. Because if they're both positive or they're both negative, this is not going to work out. So always in the beginning, for each of these problems, pick one to be positive, one to be negative, every single time, or this is not going to work out in your favor. So we get our x as 4, and then we can plug them back in. So the one side length would be 13, the other would be 1, which is what we wanted, an area of 13. So I know this was a lot thrown at you, so if you do need some help, you need me to slow it down a little bit, try some with you, let me know, and we can figure it out.